Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a very specific scenario. I want you to picture this. You're standing in line at the grocery store.
Okay.
You've got your eggs, your milk, whatever. The person in front of you is, fumbling with their wallet. It's going to take maybe 30, 45 seconds. What does your hand do?
Oh, it goes straight to the pocket.
It goes to the pocket every single time. It's not even a thought. It's a reflex.
A twitch.
A twitch, yeah. You pull out the phone, you unlock it, and your thumb is already moving before your brain even catches up. Yeah. You aren't actually looking for anything, are you?
No, not at all. You're scratching an itch. Soothing something.
The itch. That is the perfect word for it. And lately, I feel like I have that itch all the time. It feels like there's this background radiation of anxiety that just follows me around. A low hum, sort of vibrating, I'm buzzing. And I know I'm not the only one who feels this.
No, you're definitely not.
So today, we're doing something a little different. We aren't going to add more information to the pile. We are going to talk about subtraction. We are diving deep into the media fast.
And this is a topic that I think people have a really visceral reaction to.
They hate it.
They do, because when you say media fast or digital detox, what people hear is deprivation. They hear punishment.
Right. They think you're telling them they have to go live in a yurt and, I don't know, churn their own butter.
Exactly. It just sounds awful. No fun allowed.
It's like a diet. And nobody likes being on a diet.
But the thing is, the research we've pulled for this deep dive, and we have a huge stack of it here. I mean, everything from neuroendocrinology to existential philosophy, it all suggests that we have the framing completely wrong.
How so?
It isn't about what you're losing. It's about stopping a very specific kind of damage that is happening to your brain, your body, and your sense of self every single day.
So it's not a diet, it's medicine.
Or maybe just a reset button, a hard reset.
A reset button. I like that.
Yeah. So we're going to explore how this one act of subtraction, of just removing the noise, is actually the most additive thing you can do for your well-being.
Okay.
But to understand why the fast works, we first have to understand the damage. We have to look at the physiology of what we're calling the always-on brain.
And this is where I really want to get specific, because stress is such a generic word. We all say, oh, I'm so stressed. But the sources we have, they paint a much more alarming picture of what's physically happening when I'm, say, doom scrolling at 11 p.m.
It is alarming, and it really starts with the nervous system. You see, human beings, we evolved in an environment where information was almost always critical for survival.
Right. A rustle in the grass could be a predator.
Exactly. A rustle in the grass meant a lion. A frown on a tribe member's face could mean social exile, which was a death sentence. We are biologically hardwired to pay hyper attention to danger and novelty.
The famous negativity bias.
Precisely. We pay way more attention to bad news than good news because evolutionarily bad news might kill us. Good news is just nice.
Okay, so bring that forward to today.
Now, fast forward to 2026. You are holding a device in your hand that feeds you a 24/7 non-stop stream of the world's worst tragedies, hyper-stimulating colors, and constant little social threats.
So on a physical level, my brain doesn't really know the difference between a lion in the grass and, say, a tweet about the economy crashing.
Not really. The mechanism is the same. The HPA axis, that's the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. It gets activated.
That's our stress response system.
That's the one. It immediately starts pumping out cortisol. Now, in the wild, cortisol is great. It's a lifesaver. It spikes to give you the energy to run away from the lion, and then it drops right back down once you're safe in the cave.
But with the phone, there's no cave.
There is no safe. The feed never ends. The threats are infinite. So you end up in this state of chronic, low-grade hyperarousal.
That explains the buzzing. So it's not just in my head. It's a chemical state. I'm basically marinating in my own stress hormones.
You are. And that hum of anxiety you mentioned at the start, that is the feeling of your body being stuck in the sympathetic nervous system.
Fight or flight.
Constant fight or flight. You are physically prepared for battle while sitting on your couch trying to watch a movie. And when you're in that state, you can't digest your food properly, you can't repair tissues properly, and you certainly can't relax when your body literally thinks it's under siege.
Which brings us to what I think is the biggest casualty in this whole war. Sleep.
Oh, sleep. It's the foundation of everything, isn't it?
I feel like tired has just become a core part of my personality.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
And I know the standard advice, don't look at screens before bed. But I do it. We all do it.
Yeah.
Why is it so uniquely destructive? Is it just the stressful content that's keeping me awake?
The content is definitely part of it for sure, but the biology is actually much more rudimentary than that. It's about light.
Okay.
Specifically, it's about a very narrow band of short wavelength light, blue light.
The glow from the screen.
The glow. Your eyes have these amazing specialized cells. They're called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells.
That's a mouthful.
It is, but they contain a photopigment called melanopsin, and their entire job, the only thing they do, is tell your brain what time of day it is based on the light they detect.
So they're like the body's light meter.
A perfect way to put it. And when they detect a lot of blue light, which is super abundant in natural sunlight, they send a powerful signal to the master clock in your brain, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, and they tell it, suppress melatonin. It's daytime. Wake up.
Okay, so biologically speaking, my 11 p.m. Instagram scroll looks exactly like high noon to my retinal cells.
That is exactly right. You are blasting your brain with it is daytime signals, right, when it's trying to wind down. So your melatonin, the hormone of darkness, the one that initiates the whole physiological cascade of sleep, it doesn't get released when it's supposed to.
But I do eventually fall asleep. I mean, I've literally passed out holding my phone before.
You pass out, yes. But our sources are so clear on this. There is a massive difference between passing out from exhaustion and getting proper sleep architecture.
Sleep architecture. Tell me about that.
Well, healthy sleep moves through cycles of different stages. You have light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep. Blue light exposure before bed completely messes up that pattern. It significantly delays the onset of REM sleep and, more importantly, it shortens the amount of time you spend in deep sleep.
And deep sleep is the really good stuff.
Right. That's the 5-star Michelin grade stuff. That is your physical repair time. It's when your body releases growth hormone. It's also when the glymphatic system kicks in.
The what system?
The glymphatic system. You can think of it as the brain's janitorial service. During deep sleep, it actively washes away metabolic waste that builds up between your brain cells during the day, like beta amyloid proteins.
Isn't that linked to Alzheimer's?
It is. So if you consistently truncate that deep sleep, you are literally waking up with a brain full of trash. That's the brain fog. That's the grogginess and the poor memory.
So a media fast, especially just cutting the cord in the evening, it isn't just about good habits or discipline. It's about literally allowing my brain to take out the trash.
It's allowing your natural circadian rhythm to realign with the actual sun, not the little digital sun you hold in your hand. And the result isn't just feeling rested. It is profound cognitive recovery.
Okay, so we're stressed out, we're sleep deprived, we know it's bad for us, but we keep doing it.
Yeah.
We keep picking up the phone. Why, if it makes us feel so bad, why is it so incredibly hard to stop? This has to bring us to the addiction mechanic, the dopamine loop.
Right. And we need to be really nuanced here because dopamine addiction is a term that gets thrown around a lot in pop psychology, and it's often misunderstood.
Okay.
Dopamine isn't just the pleasure chemical. In fact, in the context of your phone and social media, it's rarely about actual pleasure.
Wait, explain that. I always thought dopamine was the brain's reward, the happy chemical.
It's more like the motivation chemical. Neuroscientists make this really important distinction between the seeking system and the liking system in the brain. Dopamine drives seeking. It drives the anticipation of a potential reward. It's the feeling of, ooh, what's that? I need to find out.
It's the hunt, not the feast.
Perfectly put, it's the thrill of the chase. The liking system, which involves other chemicals like opioids and endocannabinoids, is the actual satisfaction and pleasure you feel when you get what you were seeking.
Okay.
The problem with the infinite scroll, with the endless feed, is that it supercharges the seeking system, but it almost never satisfies the liking system.
So I'm constantly hunting, but I never actually catch anything and eat it.
Exactly. It's a perpetual loop of wanting without ever getting to liking. You scroll, dopamine spikes in anticipation of something cool. You see a post, is it cool? Maybe, kinda, meh. So you scroll again, the dopamine spikes again. It's a mechanism called prediction error.
Prediction error. What's that?
Your brain is a prediction machine. It loves patterns, but it loves breaking patterns even more. If you knew exactly what was on your feed like, if it was just a neatly ordered list of your emails, you wouldn't scroll for hours. It would be boring.
Right.
You scroll precisely because you don't know what's coming next. It's what's known as a variable reward schedule.
It's a slot machine.
It is functionally identical to a slot machine in a casino, Most of the time, you pull the lever, you scroll, and you get nothing interesting. But every once in a while, you hit a jackpot. A really funny video, a message from a crush, a juicy piece of gossip. And that unpredictability, that chance of a jackpot, is what keeps the dopamine firing like crazy and keeps you pulling the lever.
That makes me feel kind of like a lab rat. It's a bit dehumanizing.
I mean, in many ways, the UI/UX designers are the behavioral scientists, and we're the rats in the Skinner box hitting the lever for a pellet. And a media fast is really the only way to get out of the box and break the lever.
So when we fast, what's happening to that dopamine system? Are we letting it sort of downregulate?
Yes, you're allowing the baseline to reset. When you stop flooding the brain with these supernormal stimuli, the flashing lights, the dinging sounds, the infinite novelty, the brain's sensitivity begins to recover. You stop needing a carnival in your pocket just to feel okay. Your emotional state stabilizes.
Stabilization. I really like that word.
Ah.
Because right now, so much of the time I feel like I'm just swinging from one digital vine to the next.
Mm.
But I want to pivot from the chemical side to how this affects our actual ability to think.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've noticed something in myself that frankly scares me. I can't watch a movie anymore.
I know exactly what you mean.
I mean, a whole movie in one sitting. I get 20, maybe 30 minutes in, and I have this overwhelming urge to check my phone. My attention span feels like it's been shattered into a million little pieces.
You are describing something called cognitive fragmentation, and the sources on this they're pretty devastating. To understand it, we have to talk about the myth of multitasking.
Oh, the great corporate lie. Must be a great multitasker.
It is a biological impossibility. The human brain cannot consciously focus on two complex tasks at the same time. It just can't be done. What we think of as multitasking is actually context switching. We're just toggling back and forth really, really fast.
Focus on the email.
Yeah.
Stop. Focus on the text message. Stop. Focus on the podcast you're listening to. Stop.
And we trick ourselves into thinking we're being incredibly efficient.
But we're not.
We're not. Because of a concept from research by a professor named Sophie Leroy, she calls it attention residue.
Attention residue. Okay.
Basically, when you switch from task A to task B, your attention doesn't follow you instantly and completely. A residue of your attention, a piece of your cognitive capacity, remains stuck on task A, the thing you just switched away from.
So if I'm trying to write a report and I quickly check a text message and then I go straight back to the report,
Yeah.
part of my brain is still thinking about the text.
Exactly. A significant part of it. So you are literally working with less brain power. Every time you switch, you are making yourself cognitively dumber in that moment.
And given that the average person checks their phone something like, 80 to 150 times a day,
Sometimes more.
we are basically operating in a permanent state of semi-distraction, a permanent state of being dumber than we could be.
We are slicing our attention into such thin slivers that nothing deep or meaningful can ever get done. We're losing the ability to go deep.
Deep work, flow states, that feeling of being in the zone.
Yes. Flow is that incredible state of total immersion where time seems to disappear and you are performing at your absolute peak. You cannot enter a flow state if you are being interrupted or if you're interrupting yourself every 6 minutes.
It takes time to get there.
It does. The research shows it takes the brain, on average, about 20 to 25 minutes to fully regain deep focus after a significant distraction.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
So if I check my phone just twice an hour while I'm working, I am mathematically preventing myself from ever being truly focused.
Essentially, yes. You are condemning yourself to surf on the shallow surface of your own potential.
That's a powerful image. So the fast,
Yeah.
it's about healing that fragmentation. It's like cognitive physical therapy.
It's about retraining the muscles of your brain to sustain attention. The sources are full of anecdotes and data about this. After a media fast, even a really short one, like a weekend, people report this massive surge in productivity. And it's not just because they suddenly have more time.
It's the quality of the time.
It's the quality of their thinking. They can hold a single thought in their head for longer than 30 seconds. They can follow a complex idea from beginning to end without getting derailed.
Honestly, that sounds like a superpower these days. The ability to just think. One thought. All the way to the end.
In an economy that's built on distraction, focus is the new IQ. It really is.
I want to move now from the brain to the heart.
Yeah.
Because the damage isn't just cognitive, is it? It's deeply emotional. And the sources go really deep on this idea of the comparison trap.
Yeah, this is the heavy hitter for mental health, especially for younger people. We are social animals. We evolved in small tribes, and we are wired to compare ourselves to others to gauge our standing in that tribe.
Am I doing okay? Is my hut as sturdy as that guy's hut? Am I contributing enough?
Exactly. But in the tribe, you were comparing yourself to, what, 50, maybe 100 people, and you saw the whole unvarnished picture. You saw that the guy with the sturdy hut also had a bad back and was terrible at hunting.
You saw the reality, the
Yep.
complete human.
You saw the reality. Social media systematically replaces that reality with what the sources call performative perfection. You are now comparing your internal, messy, complex, insecure reality with everyone else's curated, filtered, publicly approved highlight reel.
I've heard this described as comparing your own behind-the-scenes footage to their movie trailer.
That's a perfect analogy. And the logical part of your brain might know it's a performance, but the emotional, primal part of your brain doesn't grasp the editing process. It just sees the data. They are on a beach in the Maldives. I am in a cubicle under fluorescent lights. They look ecstatic. I am tired. Therefore, I am failing at life.
And it's all quantified. That's the part that gets me. It's not just a feeling. It's not just that they look happy. It's that 5,000 other people have clicked a button to certify that they are happy and successful. It gamifies your social standing.
It creates a brutally explicit metric for self-worth, and the sources are very clear that this leads directly to things like body shame, self-objectification, and this pervasive, gnawing FOMO, the fear of missing out.
That feeling that life, real life, is happening elsewhere, and for some reason you weren't invited to it.
Exactly. It's a recipe for profound dissatisfaction.
So how does the fast fix this? Is it as simple as just out of sight, out of mind?
In a large way, yes, it is. Distance restores perspective. When you unplug from that fire hose of curated perfection, you stop receiving the thousands of tiny signals every day that you are inadequate. You stop measuring your own messy, beautiful life against an impossible algorithmic standard.
You shift from external to internal validation.
Right. You stop relying on what one source called algorithm-generated emotions. Feeling outraged because Twitter told you to be outraged about something, or feeling envious because Instagram showed you something to be envious of.
You start feeling emotions based on your own actual physical life again.
Yes. I cooked this meal for my family and it tastes good and we had a nice conversation. Not, I cooked this meal and I took a picture, but it only got 12 likes, so I guess it wasn't that good after all.
That feels like reclaiming your own authority, the authority to judge your own life.
That's exactly what it is.
Now, this leads us to the part of the outline that I think is the most confronting, the most challenging for people. The void.
The void, yes.
We are terrified of silence, aren't we? I catch myself doing it all the time. If I have 3 seconds of downtime in an elevator, I pull the phone out. Why are we so deeply afraid of just being with nothing to do?
I think it's because when the external noise finally stops, the internal noise starts. And for many of us, for years, we've been using the external noise to drown out the thoughts and feelings we don't want to have.
You use media as an anesthetic.
A powerful one. But the sources we looked at have this radical reframing. They say that this void, this boredom, is actually crucial. They call it a superpower.
That feels like a bit of a stretch. How is staring at a wall a superpower?
To understand that, we have to talk about something called the default mode network, or the DMN.
Okay, I'm ready. Lay it on me. What is the DMN?
The default mode network is a large-scale network of interacting brain regions that is most active when a person is not focused on the outside world. When your mind is wandering, when you're daydreaming, when you are bored, when you're just zoning out in the shower.
So when I'm not working or paying attention to something, my brain is still working.
It's working incredibly hard, just in a very different way. The DMN is the part of the brain responsible for things like autobiographical memory, piecing together your own life story. It's involved in envisioning the future, in moral reasoning, and this is the crucial part, in synthesizing disparate ideas into new creative insights.
It's the connecting the dots machine.
That's a great name for it. It's what takes all the random information you've absorbed and finds the hidden patterns.
So when I'm constantly inputting new data, scroll, like watch, scroll, I'm actively suppressing the DMN.
You are. You're never giving your brain the quiet downtime it needs to process what you've already learned. It's like you're constantly shoving ingredients into a pantry, but you never actually take them out to cook a meal.
That explains so much. It explains why my best ideas always happen in the shower or when I'm on a long drive with no radio. It's the only time I'm not consuming.
Exactly. The sources describe boredom not as a negative state, not as a lack of stimulation, but as a catalyst for creativity. When the brain is deprived of external input, it doesn't just shut down, it starts generating its own internal input. It engages in imaginative play. It chews on old problems.
So, by systematically killing every moment of boredom in our lives,
Yeah.
we are systematically killing our own creativity.
We are strangling it in the cradle.
Ah,
We're trading the potential for deep insight for a few moments of cheap entertainment.
that is a very depressing trade when you put it like that. But it also gives me a lot of hope for the fast. If I can just push through the discomfort and embrace the boredom, the ideas might actually come back.
The sources suggest they almost certainly will. It's amazing how many people report that during media fasts, they spontaneously rediscover old hobbies. They pick up the guitar that's been gathering dust for a decade. They start writing in a journal. They start baking. Not because they feel like they should.
But because the creative energy finally has somewhere to go.
Exactly. The energy has to go somewhere. If it's not going out into the screen, it starts coming out into your life.
I love that. Which brings us to where that energy often goes next into our relationships.
This is what the researchers call the buffer effect.
And you see this everywhere. You go to a restaurant, you see a couple on a date, and they're both on their phones. Or parents at the park pushing the swing with one hand and scrolling with the other.
The phone acts as a social buffer. A buffer against intimacy, against boredom, against difficult conversation. But what's really fascinating is a study mentioned in our stack called the mere presence hypothesis.
Okay.
It suggests that just having a smartphone visible on the table during a conversation, even if it's turned off and face down, measurably lowers the quality of that conversation and the empathetic connection between the two people.
Wait, just having it there? Even if no one touches it?
Even if no one touches it. Because both parties know, even subconsciously, that at any moment the entire outside world could interrupt. It constantly signals that the person sitting right in front of you is not and will never be the most important thing in the room. It splits your attention.
It's a permanent safety hatch. If this conversation gets boring or uncomfortable, I can escape.
And because you always have that escape hatch, you never feel the need to do the hard, rewarding work of deep connection. You stay on the surface where it's safe and easy.
So the faster forces you to close the escape hatch, to remove the buffer.
It forces you to be present with a capital P. And when you are fully present with another human being, you start to notice things again. You notice the subtle tone of your partner's voice. You notice the flicker of hesitation in their eyes. You develop real empathy.
Actual empathy, not just, I clicked the sad emoji on your post. Empathy.
Deep, resonant empathy. And here's the great paradox our sources point to. We use social media to feel connected, but the data overwhelmingly shows that the more we use it, the lonelier we feel.
But when we intentionally disconnect,
We feel less lonely because the quality of our real-world connections is strengthened.
the connection becomes nutritious.
Exactly. Social media is junk food connection. It's a sugar rush. It tastes good for a second, but it leaves you feeling empty and malnourished. Face-to-face, undivided attention is like a nutrient-dense, home-cooked meal for the soul.
Okay, I want to go one level deeper now before we get to the how-to section. We've talked about biology, cognition, creativity, relationships. But there's a really strong philosophical thread running through all of these sources, the concept of autonomy.
This is the deepest part of the deep dive, I think. This is about who is actually running the show.
The distinction the sources make between being a consumer and being an architect.
Right. When you are caught in that cycle of reactive consumption, ping, check, scroll, ping, check, you are a passive object. You are being acted upon by algorithms that were designed by some of the wealthiest companies in human history for one purpose, to extract your attention for profit.
That sounds incredibly grim when you put it that way. I'm not a person. I'm a natural resource being mined.
Your attention is the product being sold to advertisers. You are. When you choose to fast, you are engaging in a profound act of self-determination. You are standing up and saying, my time belongs to me. My focus, my attention, it belongs to me.
It's a quiet act of rebellion.
It is. It's a declaration of independence. It's you reclaiming your agency. And in that silence, as we discuss with the DMN, you start to hear your own voice again.
Authenticity.
Yes. In the constant noise of the feed, it is very, very hard to distinguish your own genuine desires from the desires that are being suggested to you, or the desires you are just copying from others.
Do I actually want to go on that vacation, or do I just want the photo of myself on that vacation? Do I actually care about this political issue, or am I just angry because everyone else on my feed is angry?
Am I a person, or am I just a mirror reflecting what I consume?
Wow.
The fast wipes the mirror clean so you can finally see yourself again.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm also terrified, but I'm sold. But I need practical help. We all do. Because if I just tell myself, okay, tomorrow I'm going to stop, I'll last about 40 minutes. The willpower, just isn't there.
And the sources all agree with you. Willpower is a fickle, finite resource. You cannot rely on it to break a deeply ingrained habit. You need systems. You need what they call environmental design.
So how do we structure a media fast that actually works? That isn't just a recipe for failure and feeling bad about ourselves.
First thing, and this is the most important, define your terms. Don't be vague. I'll try to use my phone less this weekend is a guarantee of failure. You need clear binary rules.
Like no social media apps from 8 p.m. Friday until 8 p.m. Saturday.
Exactly. The sources highly recommend starting with what they call a digital Sabbath.
Yeah.
Pick a 24-hour window that works for you. Usually sundown Friday to sundown Saturday, or maybe just all day Saturday, works best for most people's schedules.
And what are the rules during that time? Can I use Google Maps? Can I listen to Spotify?
That's up to you to decide beforehand, but be strict with yourself. Maybe you decide that utility apps like Maps are okay if you need them to get somewhere, but you have to put your phone in Do Not Disturb mode so no notifications can come through. The main goal is to eliminate the inflow of unpredictable, non-essential information.
I like the diet metaphor that one of the texts used.
Yes, that's a great way to think about it. You don't stop eating food forever. That's starvation, and it's not sustainable. You go on a cleanse to reset your palate.
So you can actually taste your food again.
Precisely. After the fast, you might turn Twitter back on and realize, wow, this actually makes me feel anxious and sick. So you decide not to add it back into your daily media diet.
Now, the biggest practical tip I saw across all the sources was about adding friction.
Friction is everything. You have to make the bad habit hard and the good habit easy. If your phone is in your pocket, you will check it. You won't even realize you're doing it. It's pure muscle memory.
So step one is get it out of your pocket.
Get it out of your pocket. Put it in a drawer in another room. When you're working, leave it in the car. There are even timed lock boxes you can buy now.
A kitchen safe?
Yep. People use them for cookies, but they work for phones. You put the phone in, you set the timer for 4 hours, and it physically will not open until the time is up.
That seems really extreme, but I guess if you have a serious addiction.
If you need it, you need it. There's no shame in it. But just as important as creating friction for the bad habit is reducing friction for the good ones. You need to have alternatives ready to go.
The analog kit.
Yes. You have to plan for the boredom. When that urge to scroll hits, and trust me, it will hit and it will hit hard, you need a low-friction alternative right there. If you just sit on the couch staring at a blank TV screen, you will break.
So have a book you're excited to read already open on the coffee table.
Have a puzzle laid out. Have your running shoes right by the front door. Have the ingredients for a recipe you want to try sitting on the counter.
You have to replace the cheap dopamine hit with a more constructive action.
You have to channel that seeking energy into something that will actually nourish you.
Okay, what about the social anxiety? What if people need to reach me? What if there's an emergency?
You communicate. Send a simple text to your inner circle, your partner, your parents, your best friend. Hey, just a heads up, I'm doing a digital detox for the next 24 hours. I'll be offline. If it is a literal, genuine emergency, you can call me. The phone will still ring.
That sets expectations.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, how many literal houses on fire emergencies do we actually have in a given year?
Very, very few. We've just been conditioned to think everything is an emergency because every notification buzzes with the exact same level of urgency.
Okay. So we do the fast, we survive the withdrawal, we get some deep sleep, we feel the crushing boredom, and then maybe we feel a spark of creativity. We have a real conversation. Then Sunday evening comes and we turn the phone back on. What then? How do we not fall right back into the old patterns?
Conscious reintroduction. That is the final crucial step. Don't just open the floodgates and let everything rush back in.
Be intentional.
Be an editor, a curator. Look at your home screen. Go through your apps one by one. Which ones did you genuinely miss? Which ones did you not even think about for 24 hours?
You conduct an audit of your own digital life.
A full audit. Maybe you realize you don't need TikTok on your phone. You can just delete it. Maybe you decide to turn off all notifications for Instagram and email. You start treating your attention like the precious, finite, and valuable resource that it is.
I really, really like that framing. It's not about becoming a Luddite or hating technology. It's about cultivating respect. Respect for your own mind.
It's about moving from being used by technology to actively using technology as a tool to build the life you want.
So, to synthesize all of this,
Yeah.
we have covered a massive amount of ground today.
We really have. We started with the raw physiology, the cortisol, the messed up sleep architecture, the hyperstimulated HPA axis. Then we moved into the dopamine trap, the difference between wanting and liking.
Then we talked about the cognitive cost, that concept of attention residue that literally makes us dumber and less effective every time we switch tasks.
From there, we explored the emotional toll of the comparison trap, the performative perfection, and the buffer effect that's quietly eroding our real-world relationships.
And then we found hope. We found it in the void, in the power of boredom to activate the default mode network, which is the engine of our creativity, our self-reflection, and ultimately, our autonomy.
It really is a journey. It's a journey from a fragmented, reactive, anxious state to a whole, intentional, and autonomous one.
It sounds a bit like we're just talking about growing up.
In a digital sense, I think that's exactly what it is. We are a society of toddlers who have been handed supercomputers. It's time for us to mature into responsible adults.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave the listener, and myself to be honest, with a final thought. Something to really sit with during that first, probably very uncomfortable hour of silence.
I think I'd go back to the idea of space. We work so hard to fill every single empty corner of our days, of our minds, with other people's thoughts, other people's lives, other people's opinions, other people's noise.
We are terrified of the empty room.
But it is only in the empty room that you can actually meet yourself. So the challenge, the question to sit with is this. If you silence the feed, if you strip away all the likes, all the breaking news, all the outrage, all the constant external validation, do you know who is left in that room?
That is the question, isn't it?
And maybe even more importantly, do you like the person who is left?
Oof. That's a heavy one to end on, but a very necessary one.
I think so. And the only way to find out the answer is to turn it all off.
Well, I think I'm going to go do exactly that. Thank you so much for this deep dive. Honestly, it's been a real wake-up call.
It was my pleasure.
And to everyone listening, good luck. Embrace the boredom. It's good for you. We'll see you on the next deep dive.